Good afternoon, E3 Civic High. This is E3 Live with Dr. Griffith and my special guest.
Yeah, it's Maxwell Blaine, top E3 scholar.
Absolutely. We're so excited to be here today because we have a very important topic. We're talking about the stairways to success. We're talking about your behavior. We're talking about doing the things that give you a positive outcome and give you results that will be lasting for a lifetime. We at E3 trained this summer, Maxwell. We trained on restorative practices. These are our texts here, restorative practices, restorative circles. And we're what we call an E3 restorative school. And that means whatever we do, it's to always restore you to right standing, to a right relationship, to making the right choices. And as we study as learning facilitators and administrators and scholars, we're going to be studying what it takes to do the right thing and what it takes to make the right choices. So we wanted to share with you today, all of you were given this document here. And this is a legal document. Many of you have never seen this before, and we're glad that you've never seen it before because it's the report on suspension that goes to the state of California every time we have a suspension or an expulsion on our campus. You may or may not know that we're bound by what we call the California Ed Code. And the California Ed Code tells us exactly what we can and cannot do in terms of discipline. But at E3, we always want to make sure that when we administer instruction or correction, that it's restorative. That we get your attention to understand that the behavior or the actions that you took could have actually been done a different way. And so that the next time you have that choice, you make the right decision. You make a successful decision. So according to the Ed Code, Max, once you leave home in the morning, by the time you get home in the evening, the administration has jurisdiction over students for their safety and for their well-being. So that means when you leave the door, and not until you get back to the door that evening, we have the right of safety for you. And so we take it very seriously once you leave home, that you make the right choices once you get back home on that evening. So let's just look at this form a little bit, and we're going to talk about it. And remember, this is a series. We're not going to get through everything today, but we're going to try to get through as much as we can so that you can understand some of the things that we are bound by as a school that is governed by the state of California. And these are the items for which scholars can be suspended for. Remember, it is never our goal to suspend. It's always our goal to instruct. But according to the California Ed Code, there are things we must do according to the law. For example, Max, if you look at the first item, it's a fight. So causing or attempting to fight or cause physical injury. If you look at the third incident, Max, and scholars, that incident must recommend expulsion. Expulsion is when a scholar has to leave the campus of E3 or any other school because they have been denied access because of behavior. If you can look, there are several other items there: willfully caused injury, major injury, minor injury, assault or battery on a school employee, sexual assault or sexual battery, or you've worked with someone, which we call aiding and abetting, to hurt someone else. These are all things that we know that E3 scholars would not do. But we want to let you know, according to the law says that you must suspend or you must recommend expulsion when these acts are carried out. If you look at item 2, weapons, explosives, dangerous objects, or firearms. They're never to be possessed, brought on campus, or sold. And Max, that includes an imitation firearm.
That's right.
Toy guns, absolutely. So even if it looks like a gun, you're not allowed to bring that on campus. Now, why would we not want to have a toy gun out in the community? Can you think of any reasons, Max?
A toy gun can be offensive to some people who are gun phobic.
Absolutely. And what do you think about the police? If they saw you draw a toy gun, what do you think they would do?
They could pull you over and start questioning you about the reasons behind your actions.
Absolutely. And then ultimately, what do you think has happened for some that have pulled a toy gun? Do you know?
They've
actually been killed.
Yeah, they could have been killed.
No, they have been, right?
They
in Florida.
Been, yeah.
Yes, they absolutely have been. There was a 13-year-old with a toy gun. He was shot in the playground. So it's not something that we want to engage in because it's very, very dangerous behavior.
Absolutely not.
So let's move on to controlled substances. Controlled substances include anything that is illegal. Of course, marijuana falls under the controlled substances, alcohol, or a drug called soma, or cocaine, or anything that is illegal. Tobacco also falls under substances that we're not allowed to bring on campus. Of course, one of the reasons we don't want to engage in those substances is because it causes unhealthy behavior, unhealthy lifestyle, and unhealthy habits.
Yeah.
dangerous, especially for growing teens. Let's move on down a little bit because we're running short on time and we want to try to get through this entire list. Let's look at item number 6, property damage. Anytime there's damage to the property at a school, that's a suspendable offense. That is one where minor damage or major damage can be caused. Now, the thing about the damage is, Max, if it's high enough in terms of the dollar amount, it's actually a felony and can be arrested by the San Diego Police Department.
Yeah, kids, scholars don't want to be doing that around E3.
No, absolutely not. We want to take care of E3.
That's right.
Absolutely. Let's take care of E3. Let's look at number 7. Attempting to steal or stole or receiving stolen property. Scholars, we want to let you know that these behaviors are something you never want to engage in. Whether someone has someone else's phone or their computer, you want to return it. You want to be a good citizen. You want to be honest with one of integrity. Attempting to steal, stole, all of those items are suspendable offenses. Let's look at number 8, scholars. Nicotine or possession of nicotine. Oh, what a bad habit, right? Smoking, yuck, right? Has a lot of ill effects. What does smoking cause?
Yeah, it causes lung disease.
Absolutely. Lung disease, cancer, emphysema, not to mention bad breath. Right? We don't want to be a smoker. Don't be that girl. Don't be that guy.
Yeah,
right? Don't
no
be
way.
that. Exactly. So also, it's suspendable. But what we would do at E3 for any of these offenses, remember, we always want to restore. We always want to find ways that we can talk and reason and get the why of why we should not, and engage in these behaviors. Now, number 9 is very, very critical. Why don't you circle that, scholars? If you have a writing implement, you have a pen, Max, here you can use mine. Circle number 9. Obscenity, profanity. And believe it or not, you can be suspended for cursing. It's not the language of professional adults. It's not the language for professional teens. And it's offensive. If you engage in it over and over, as you can see on item 9B, you can be suspended. Why wouldn't we want to use profanity, for example?
Again, like those toy guns, profanity can be offensive to other people.
Absolutely. Profanity is offensive, and it's not professional language. You would not find a learning associate or a team member using profanity on site because we're living the model of what should be. And we thank you, scholars, for keeping the airways clean. No profanity. Yay. All right, drug paraphernalia. Let's look at number 10. Drug paraphernalia is anything that can be used, of course, to facilitate drug use. That is unlawful possession, and you can't give it, offer it, or sell it, because as you can see here with that little tiny square, that little triangle, that means that's expendable, that someone could be suspended and expelled from the school. Let's look at number 11. This is really one of those areas where a lot of scholars at other sites fall into suspension, because you can be suspended for what's considered a minor disruption or a major disruption. Now that just about covers so much. So you always want to think, am I doing something to enhance the learning environment? Am I on point? Am I focused? Am I making those right choices? Because any minor or major disruption or defiance is an act of suspension. Can you think of an act of defiance, Max?
A defiance would be kind of like not like doing what's contrary to what's being presented in your studios.
Absolutely. So if I ask you, Max, I need you to stand over here that I might have a conversation. If you say no, is that defiance?
That is defiance.
Absolutely. And the instructions that are given in a professional environment, such as a work environment or a school environment, are to be followed the first time. Yep. That's a sign of an exemplary scholar. And if you do those things, then you avoid suspension from a major or minor offense. Let's look quickly at number 13, sexual harassment. Sexual harassment, whether it's verbal or visual, physical, or continued sexual harassment. And that's unwanted touching, unwanted advances, unwanted jokes of sexual nature or intent. Those create what the federal government calls a hostile environment. We want E3 to be a welcoming environment, a fair environment, a restorative environment. An environment where everyone feels safe, protected, and comfortable. And so therefore, sexual harassment or harassment of any kind is not only suspendable, but it can be found against the law, and you can be expelled for those acts. Of course, hate incidences, which are number 14, that could come in the form of physical or verbal abuse, the intent to harm, the intent to threaten someone or to threaten someone, vandalism, or graffiti, all can be considered hate incidences. And in our world where there's so much violence and there's so much hate, we want to be a no place for hate school. We want to be a place where we're safe. Number 15, threats and intimidation. That means that you've threatened a scholar or you've made terroristic threats, whether online or verbally. You must know that there's a footprint, an electronic footprint. Whenever you post something on the web, Snapchat, email, text messages, there's always a footprint. It can never go away, even after deleted. So you must think before you post. Is it kind? Is it truthful? Is it necessary? Is it inspiring? Is it helpful? If it doesn't meet any of those qualities, then don't post. That should be your guide. And if you do that, you'll stay safe. Let's look at number 17, harassing or intimidating or threatening scholars or district personnel. Scholars, these are all opportunities for us to make the right choices as we have this information. Many of these items are legal offenses. They are punishable by the law. For example, to fight in public is a violation of the Penal Code 415, and you can be arrested, not only on school, but out in the city. You should know, scholars, that around our building and at the trolley stops, there are several hundreds of cameras. You should know, scholars, there are several hundreds of cameras in the library and many of the public facilities today. We are a watched society. But guess what? We want to be watched and found doing the right thing. Because when you're a person of integrity, it doesn't matter whether there's a camera. It doesn't matter whether there's anyone watching. You want to be found doing the right thing so that you can have success, that you can be your next best self, and that you can show others the way. So I want to thank you today, and I want to thank Max for joining me today on E3 Speaks as we talk about the stairways to success and you as an E3 family member. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll be back again. Thank you.